So, you may be wondering why I brought you here today, but the answer is actually quite simple. You read scrimmage requests a little bit. You're seeing that after some games, there's a little bit of bickering going on. You know, Codfine, I'm going to call you out. You can't be talking mid-pitch. But it was brought to my attention that maybe the rule book is a little too long, or at least maybe the reading's a little difficult. So, I'm going to do a word-for-word narration today of the rule book. Maybe little visuals. I have the South Dakota baseball in my hand if I need to, show something going on. But yeah, I'm gonna do a word for word little read along here. Hopefully it's like your Google Translate kind of thing, but just like me. Here we go. And I do have water, so this is off track, but I got the water with the best like cap on it, so it's like the squeeze one. Okay, I'm not gonna do that on with the video on, but it's like the best water bottle, and I'm just gonna refill that instead of like a something. Okay. Official XBL Rules Season 22 Edition. Official Playing Rules Committee. The Flash 4. Dwayne. Wishbone Rules. No Hummus. Finite Provision. Zlatanimo. And Mama June June. These rules are the official rules for the Season 22 or for Season 22 of the XBL. These rules cover oh my god. These rules cover as many foreseeable scenarios as possible. Amendments and changes may be made during the season under the discretion of the Rules Committee. The X-Platform Baseball League silhouetted Ace Von Asen logo is not a registered trademark and is designed by Sitbof. XBLBaseball.com. Index. Click on a header to skip directly to a particular section. The X indicates a section that is rule changes for this season, and rule changes since the previous season are highlighted. Section 1. Ego. 1.1. All regular season games will be played at 1.1.1 XBL 93 hitting ego, 99 base running ego, 99 pitching ego, 99 fielding ego. 1.1.2 AAA 88 ego, 99 base running ego, 93 pitching ego, 99 fielding ego. 1.2 AA 7 to 85 hitting ego variable, 99 base running ego, 85 pitching ego locked, 99 fielding ego. 1.2.1 AA hitting ego changes throughout the season based on the following formula. 1.2.1.1 The starting ego plus the sum of your win minus losses divided by 4 plus your runs scored per game minus the previous season league runs per game divided by 1. 1.2.1.2 In simpler terms, this means that a player's ego at any given game is their starting ego plus 1 for every 4 games above 500, or minus 1 for every 4 games below 500, and plus 1 ego for every plus 1 runs scored per game above the previous season's league average, or minus 1 for every 1 below league average. 1.2.1.3 Your wins minus losses divided by 4 and runs scored per game minus previous season league runs per game divided by 1 are each rounded down towards 0 truncated individually before final calculation. Thus, it takes a full 4 wins or losses and or a full 20 or minus 20 run differential to move your ego. 1.2.1.4 A player's hitting ego cannot drop below their starting ego unless manually changed by league office. 1.2.1.5 4 imaginary games will be preloaded into the formula at the beginning of the season with the base amount of runs scored in each. This is to prevent wild ego changes early in the season. 1.2.1.6 Ego adjustment through the ego formula is capped at 87. 1.2.1.6.1 League office may manually adjust a player's ego beyond 87 or below their starting ego. 1.2.2 After a season starts, a player's hitting ego may go above 85 as dictated by the above formula. 1.2.2.1 Pitching ego is locked to 85 for all AA players. However, if your hitting ego rises above 85 via the ego formula, your pitching ego rises with it. 1.2.3 Egos will be updated and posted as games get logged. However, if you are playing multiple games prior to games logged being updated, players are required to calculate their necessary ego adjustments as they go. Opponents are encouraged to hold each other to this. 1.2.3.1. An ego calculator is available on the website here. 1.2.3.3.2. For back-to-back series games played in one sitting against the same opponent, calculating a new game or new ego for game 2 is at the player's option. 1.2.3.3. Repeat offenses of playing under ego will be considered unsportsmanlike conduct and could result in penalties. 1.2.4. In AA, each player's hitting and pitching ego is increased by 1 for the playoffs. This increase can exceed the 87 ego cap. 1.2.5. Any behavior considered to be intentionally losing games or affecting run differentials to prevent increasing of egos will be considered unsportsmanlike conduct and could result in penalties. I'm looking at you, Glurp. 1.2.6. If you feel your ego is too high or too low, reach out to a league office member. 1.2.7. If deemed necessary, league office holds the right to adjust AA player egos outside of the ego formula to ensure fair play in regular season and playoffs. Section 2, League Setup. Two point one. Games are to be played in the online leagues mode. 2.2. Games are set to be 9 innings. 2.3. Games are played at the same Whoops, my bad. Games are played at the home team stadium. 2.3.1. Tiger Den is banned as his home stadium. Rest in peace. Honestly, like, this is a timeout. We gotta allow it back, league office. Like, I know I just saluted it, man. Like, I shouldn't even have to salute. We should bring it back. Okay. 2.4. Each starting pitcher, SP, must be used once over the span of 4 games. After each starting pitcher has been used once, rotations can be used again in any order. 2.4.1. The same SP cannot be used twice in the same series. 2.4.2. In playoffs, at the start of each series, rotations are reset and any starter may be used first. 2.5. Designated hitters are not used. 2.6. Mojo and stamina carryover are turned off. 2.7. Despite rosters being broken up into starting players and bench players in the roster creation tool, you may start any players you like. Section 3. Schedule. 3.1. Teams must play a 2-game series with all other teams in the league. 3.2. The home team is to be rotated such that each team plays one home and one away game during the 2-game series. 3.3. Teams have the ability to play any matchup at any time, given that they have played the minimum amount of games by the times designated below in Section 4. Section 4. Weekly Overview. Each week, every team will be required to have a minimum number of games played. Players cannot go more than 4 games beyond the minimum without prior consent from the league office. XBL. Week 1, 6 to 10 games. Week 2, 10 to 14 games. Week 3, 16 to 20 games. Week 4, 20 to 24 games. Week 5, 26 to 30 games. Week 6, 32 to 38 games. Week 7, 38 to 42 games. Week 8, all games played. AAA. Week 1, 6 to 10 games. Week 2, 10 to 16 games. Week 3, 16 to 20 games. Week 4, 20 to 26 games. Week 5, 26 to 30 games. Week 6, 30 to 36 games. Week 7, 36 to 42 games. Week 8, all games played. I think this is going to change. I don't think these are updated to the current numbers. AA. Week 1, 6 to 10 games. Week 2, 10 to 14 games. Week 3, 14 to 18 games. Week 4, 18 to 22 games. Week 5, 22 to 26 games. Week 6, all games played. Week 7, playoffs if league completed in Week 6. 4.2. Failure to keep up with total games played will result in a forfeit of games unless accommodations are made with league office. 4.2.1. Any player 10 or more games behind the schedule without prior consent or notice from league office will be given 1 penalty loss for every week they are 10 or more games behind the schedule assessed at the end of the week. These penalty losses will be added to the standings at the end of the season. 4.3. Weeks are Sunday to Saturday, with a new week starting Sunday morning. Section 5. Result recording. 5.1. For games that count and all stats to be recorded, there must be screenshots of all 4 stat pages after each contest. Screenshots must be taken as screenshots from your device. Use of phone cameras will not be permitted. 5.3. Failure to send in proper stat pages to results in Discord will result in forfeit of the game for both teams failing to record. 5.4. Repeated failure to record will also result in evaluation of the player's position in the league. Whew. Section 6. Forfeits. A forfeit will count as 2 losses per game. 6.1.1. I think I forgot the. Okay, who cares? A forfeit is defined. Did I say that? A forfeit is defined as one of the following: a player using the in-game forfeit button at any point during the game, a player not completing their schedule and having leftover games, a player willfully disconnecting, requesting, or demanding a cancellation or declaring forfeit during a game. So that's like if you ever play like Oxbox during a scrim and he leaves like the 4th inning because you're up by like 6 runs, that's kind of what we're referring to if it were to happen mid-season. 6.2. Not completing a season is handled on a case-by-case basis. Ooh, that's a typo. Case by base. Yep, yikes. Case by case basis. 6.2.1. Quitting midseason due to emergent life issues is an acceptable action and will not be punished as long as proper communication of the issue is maintained with league office. 6.2.3. Quitting midseason for any reason other than emergent life related issues will result in minimum 1 season ban from playing and the player will receive the @dunce rule after quitting. 6.2.4. Repeat offenses or particularly egregious instances of 6.2.3 up to the office discretion will result in a permanent ban. Section 7. Bice's rule. 7.1. Players can only have up to 2 series started, but not completed. 7.2. Once a series has started, it must be completed by the following week. 7.3. Failure to complete the series will be the responsibility of the player that caused the first break. 7.4. The earliest series started and not finished will result in a forfeit of the remaining game if too many matchups are left unfinished. Section 8. Substitutions. 8.1. Starting pitchers without a two-way trait may not be subbed in at any point except don't record with a cold. Where was I? Starting pitchers without a two-way trait may not be subbed in at any point except to pinch hit. No pinch running. If a SP pinch hits, that SP is not allowed to go on to pitch in the game. This applies to both regular season and playoff games. 8.1.1. If you accidentally or purposefully sub in an SP to pitch, you must immediately intentionally walk 3 consecutive batters, then sub the SP out for a bullpen pitcher. Because the auto walk function on consecutive batters can crash the game, it is recommended you manually walk at least the second batter. 8.1.2. Pitchers with a two-way trait may be subbed into the game for any reason at any time. The only exception to this is that starting pitchers may not be subbed into pitch. 8.2. Unless due to substitution or injury, no 2 players can swap the same positions more than 1 time in a game. I don't think I knew that. 8.3. Position players may pitch if all other bullpen pitchers have already pitched in that game. 8.4. Closers, or CPs, with 49 velocity or less may not be brought into the game before the 8th inning unless all other bullpen pitchers have been used. Section 9. Playoffs. XBL. The XBL playoffs field size will be dependent on the number of teams finishing the season. With 19 or greater teams, the XBL playoffs will have 14 teams. With 18 or fewer teams, the XBL playoffs will have 12 teams. AAA. The AAA playoffs will contain 16 teams. There will be no byes for any seeds and will start as 1v16, 2v15, 3v14, 4v13, 5v12, 6v11, 7v10, and 8v9. AA. The AA playoffs will contain all AA players finishing their season. The format may contain a round robin, specifics of which will depend on the total number of players finishing the season. 9.1. League office has the ability to leave a player out of the playoffs if it is deemed necessary for scheduling reasons or otherwise, even if they have a good enough record to qualify. 9.2. Playoff structure will be single elimination and will include byes when necessary. 9.3. Home field will alternate each game. 9.4. Home field will start the best seeded team. 9.5. The World Series and semifinals will be a best of 7 series. The quarterfinal, or 9.6, my bad. The quarterfinals matchups will be a best of 5 series. 9.7. All other playoff matchups will be a best of 3 or 5 series, excluding regular season tiebreakers referred to in Rule 10.1. 9.8. All playoff formats subjected to change based on teams remaining at end of season. Section 10. Tiebreakers. If there's a tie for the final playoff spot, both teams will play a best of 1 for the spot. 10.1.1. This tie is based purely on record and will not take into Jesus Christ, will not take into consideration any tiebreakers like head-to-head record or run differential. 10.1.2. A three-way tie will result in one team being left out via tiebreaker ruling detailed in 10.2. 10.1.3. For the purposes of Rule 10.1, round robins are not considered playoffs. Thus, a tie between the last bracketed team and the first round robin team, or a tie between two teams in the round robin for the last spot to advance to the bracket, would result in a one-game playoff regardless of head-to-head results or run differential. 10.2. Seeding will be determined by head-to-head, followed by total season run differential. In the event of a three or more way tie, seeding will be decided by aggregate records amongst tied teams. If two or more teams are tied via aggregate record, then aggregate run differential will be used among tied teams. 10.2.2. In the event teams are still tied after 10.2.1, the following order of tiebreakers are to be used: overall record, then overall run differential, then total runs scored for, total runs scored against, and finally, higher seed standings placements. Yeah. For the purposes of round robins, overall record refers to group standings, etc. Section 11. Team aesthetic restrictions. 11.1. Teams may not use Teams may not use logos or identical team names of professional teams or logos that closely resemble one. 11.2. No player shall have the names that include other characters other than those in the English alphabet, hyphens, and apostrophes. Player names, team names, and logos may not contain not safe for work content. 11.4. Pitchers shall not be equipped with gloves, wristband tapes, or long undersleeves colored in a fashion that may be distracting to hitters. 11.4.1. Colors distracting to a hitter include bright white/light gray, anything that could resemble the ball, or neon/fluorescent colors. Fluorescent, there we go. Oh boy. Section 12, roster creation. The roster creation spreadsheet will track all roster rules for you automatically. However, it is useful to be familiar with the basics of how rosters are governed. The following are guidelines to help you do that. The roster creation spreadsheet can be found here. Please do not copy and paste within the sheet, as it can break calculations and flagging systems. Roster structure. 12.1. The roster spreadsheet is color-coded. Yellow indicates blank cells that are required to be filled in. Your roster is not ready to be submitted if there are any yellow cells. 12.1.2. Orange. It indicates that you are over the luxury cap in a certain category. You are allowed to be over the luxury cap. 12.1.3. Red. Indicates that you have attempted to do something that is illegal. Your roster is not ready to be submitted if there are any red cells. Green. Indicates that your salary is within the allowable range. 12.1.5. Blue. Indicates cells that may be edited by you. 12.1.6. Gray. Indicates cells that are not meant to be edited. 12.1.7. Underlined. Though not a color, underlined numbers are an indicator of which 8 fielders are using your luxury cap space. See more on luxury caps in section 12.8. I cannot wait. 12.2. Your team is broken into 3 position groups. 12.2.1. Rotation, 4 starting pitchers. 12.2.2. Bullpen, 1 SPRP, 2 RP, 1 closing pitcher. The closing pitcher may be turned into an my, my headphones died, but we're back. Well, they didn't die, they turned off. The closing pitcher may be turned into an RP using the drop-down menu on the position. 12.2.3. Fielders, 8 starting players, 6 bench players. 12.2.3.1. Whew. One of your bench players is labeled as a bench specialist. The bench specialist does not use any of your luxury cap space. See more on luxury caps in section 12.8. However, the bench specialist can have no more than 2 stat categories set above 10 and must have a total salary less than the lowest salary, I cannot say the word, of your 8 starting position players. Twelve point three. All pitchers are limited to 90 velocity except closing pitchers. 12.4. Only closing pitchers can use the subarm angle. Costs. Your loss. 12.5. Your roster is limited to. Oh my god. Your roster is limited to a total salary cap. 13.5.1. $1 million. 12.6. Each player has a minimum salary. 13.6.1. Pitchers, 30,000. 13.6.2. Fielders, 25,000. 12.7. Attribute points have a consistent cost on individual players until a specific midpoint number is reached, called the inflection point. Shout out math. After that inflection point, each point costs more than the point before it all the way to 99. In the bottom right of the spreadsheet is a graph where you can view these cost curves. Inflection point numbers for each category are labeled above the graph. 12.8. In addition to costs incurred by adding attribute points to a player, each category has a luxury cap. The number of points remaining until you reach the luxury cap is labeled on the right side of the spreadsheet. 12.8.1. You may exceed the luxury cap in any category. However, luxury tax will be incurred each point you add above the cap in an increasing fashion. 12.8.2. Switch it up. Luxury cap calculations only include the highest players in that category. Rotation all. Bullpen. RPs and 1/3 closing pitcher, i.e., 3 points applied to a closing pitcher stat, use 1 point of that stat's luxury cap space. Fielders, top 8. 12.8.3. Your luxury caps may be modified using the drop-down menus at the top of the spreadsheet. You may choose 1, 2, or no categories to add cap space to. For every category that you choose to add cap space to, you must also choose one to reduce cap space from. Cap modification amounts vary by category, which can be found in the second tab of the roster builder. 12.9. A bullpen arsenal tax is assessed on the total arsenal pitches among your 4 bullpen pitchers. These costs are separate from the cost of the pitches themselves. Those tax amounts are as follows, with negative numbers representing a credit/rebate. 8 pitches equals negative 12,000, 9 pitches equals negative 10,000, 10 pitches equals negative 7,000, 11 pitches equals negative 4,000, 12 pitches equals negative 2,000, 13 pitches equals negative 1,000, 14 pitches equals $0, 15 pitches equals $2,000, 16 pitches is $5,000, 17 pitches is $8,000, 18 pitches is equal to $13,000, 19 pitches equals $18,000, and 20 pitches equal to $24,000. Traits. 12.1. All chemistry categories must be level 2. 12.11. You may have a maximum of 2 switch hitters, should be more, low-key. 12.12. You may use the infield, outfield, first base/outfield, and infield/outfield secondary positions once each. Oh, once each. Okay, there we go. 12.13. You must use a minimum of 6 negative traits. 12.13.1. Each negative trait that you apply to your team gives you the ability to add 3 positive traits. 12.14. 2 negative traits cannot be applied to the same player. 12.15. The bottom 8 salaried players' pre-trait salary may not have negative traits applied to them. These players are marked in the column labeled X. 12.16. Traits are limited to a single use except for the following: clutch, 2, compose, 3, consistent, 3, base rounder, 2, bunter, 2, durable, 3, metalhead, 8, Mind Gamer 1, Sprinter 2, Stealer 2, Simulated 2, Utility 3. 12.17. Elite Four Seam may only be used on pitchers with 60 velocity or less and may not be used on SPRP. 12.18. Specialists and reverse splits may only be used on RPs and closing pitchers. 12.19. You may not simultaneously use both specialists and reverse splits on your roster. 12.20. K Collector may only be used on bullpen pitchers. 12.21. Clutch may only be used on position players and closing pitchers. 12.22. Use of two-way player trait is not allowed. 12.23. The screwball SB pitch is limited to 2 uses on your team. Final stretch, here we go. Section 13. Managers must submit rosters to the appropriate roster channel on Discord for validation and receive league office approval before they can play any season games. 13.2. Roster submissions must include the following. 13.2.1. A link to your roster spreadsheet that has been fully filled in and is set to view permission. 13.2.2. Team abbreviation, 2 to 4 letters, unique within your league. 13.2.3. Screenshot of your team logo. 13.3. Once a team has been validated by a commissioner, nothing about the team may be changed during the season, including but not limited to player ratings, arm slots, pitch types, location, team nickname, and abbreviation. 13.3.1. Uniforms may be changed anytime. 13.4. Your in-game team name, Your in-game team must match your approved roster. 13.4.1. Minor infractions. If you notice your opponent's in-game roster does not match their approved roster in a minor way that you suspect is accidental, please inform them and kindly ask them to fix their in-game roster. 13.4.2. Major infractions. If you notice your opponent's in-game roster does not match their approved roster in a significant way or in a way that you suspect is intentional, please take a screenshot of the in-game roster and inform a league office member. 13.4.3. Penalties will be assessed based on the severity of the roster discrepancy and the quantity of games played with the discrepancy. Section 14. Lag/disconnections. If you are suffering from lag, you may use the substitution timer to see if lag subsides. If the lag is too bad to continue playing or the game gets disconnected, the two players may choose to start the game over or continue the game by starting over and bunting to create the game. 14.2.1. Alternatively, if the game score is considerably lopsided or the disconnect occurred very late in the game, players may choose to call the game final and submit the score at the time of the disconnect. If both players must agree to this. If there is no agreement, the default is set to recreate the game state and continue playing. 14.2.2. If post-game stats are affected by the disconnect/restart, players may submit amended stats to be logged using the spreadsheet. Section 15, unsportsmanlike behavior. Beanballing for a walk, fun size, retribution, or any other reason is acceptable. Like, you can't do this. You can't throw a baseball. You can't throw any baseballs at anybody, okay? No baseballs. You can't throw them at people. 15.2. Both parties are encouraged to capture a video replay in the event of a beanball. 15.2.1. In the case of a missed power pitch, the pitcher must provide video evidence in the case that it was unintentional. Codifying, this is what you were here for, man. 15.3. Excessive step out, excessive bunt tapping, excessive unnecessary defensive player jumping/hopping, excessive unnecessary substitution screening, stutter stepping within sliding distance of a base, quick chatting during pitches, Repeated step-out cancellation, unnecessary defensive diving for the purpose of gaining a mojo boost, and intentionally disconnecting are considered unsportsmanlike. 15.4. If asked by your opponent to share the handedness of your starting pitcher prior to the game starting, it is considered mandatory to accurately provide that information. You are not required to share the handedness of your SP if you are not asked. 15.5. In the event that it becomes evident that a player is intentionally trying to alter standings, playoff seedings, or ego calculations by forfeiting or aiding the other player to victory by letting the other player score, there's a lot in here for you, Codfine. Oh my God. It will be up to league office to penalize the player by assessing additional losses, removing them from the playoffs, or by banning them from the league. 15.6. Each case will be handled as a separate incident and will include factors such as player history. 15.7. Each case will be handed or will be decided by the league office. Miscellaneous. Oh, we're so close. Section 16 miscellaneous, excuse me. 16.1. Official decisions by the league office are to be submitted for approval with an official XBL motion form. Motions are include but are not limited to in-season team edits, such as stats, names, stadiums, proposal for a game replay, additional addition/drop of player in season, off-season rule change. 16.3.1. A motion can be proposed by any league officer, commissioner, role holder. Motions can be proposed on the behalf of players without that designation by the aforementioned members. 16.3.2. Motions may be deferred to be voted on by a league-wide voting process if deemed necessary. These require majority league vote approval to be implemented, a counted majority of all submitted votes by managers. 16.3.3. Once the condition for approval is met, the motion may be implemented. Conditions for approval are as follows. League office 3/5 approval, or 3/5 approval, or majority league vote, or 2 commissioners if 1 league office member abstains. 16.3.4. Motions may be held on the desk if deemed necessary for 2 or more league office members. This state requires the motion to be examined by all 3 commissioners and 4 office members, disabling it from immediate implementation until examined fully and approved. Section 17, rule additions. Any rule not covered may be added by the official playing rules committee at any time. 17.2, players will be notified of any rule changes, additions, or subtractions. Let's go. Let's fucking go. That's exciting. Honestly, you know what? I really don't think I can blame anybody who doesn't read that. That's a lot. It's not a lot, but it's like obviously when you read something out loud it's gonna take longer, but okay, Codfine. Hope that helps. Everybody have a good day. I'll see you guys around.